how many folks know about the field of education, but we're used to having inferiority complex. I've already convinced myself that I'm the last person that you want to take on the IRS. So, but I will use this opportunity to tell you a little bit something about what we do in the schools of education. Education, basically the question that we ask is what kind of world do we want to live in? What kind of world do we want to pass down? It's about the reproduction of the sorts of worlds that we live in. We sort of pass down traditions, we pass down our ways of thinking, we pass down forms of knowledge, and then we also talk about how that can be contested. Okay, so we're both about sort of how things can be reproduced, and then how we can challenge that reproduction and sort of live in different kind of worlds. And those are the kind of questions that we take on. Folks in education, we are, I think, in lots of ways key to some of the contemporary challenges we are facing today, now, and potentially on this Liferaft in the future. Some of the challenges that we might take on at some point will be too complicated for any one discipline to take on. I think about the world we live in now. We have these kind of incredible global flows of people. We have new flows of technology. We have new flows of ideas. We have new images flowing all over. We've got money flowing all over. And they're really landing around the world in very unpredictable and complicated kinds of ways. And I think that what we do in education is kind of think through those sorts of challenges, think through how they land in particular sorts of sites, and then talk about the kind of future that we want. Education systems have long been on the front line of these kinds of questions, K through 16 education. Thinking through what kind of world we want to live on, again, reproducing it and contesting it. The field of education, we're not a discipline, we're a professional school. We train people to teach. We conduct research on teaching, and by professional school, I mean that we're largely concerned with applied work. There's kind of a long-standing, sort of old-fashioned distinction between pure and applied knowledge. We do applied knowledge, how things play out in classrooms. Practically, this means a kind of comprehensiveness, so we are amenable to folks that do sort of science education, philosophy of education, so we do have a kind of comprehensiveness in terms of what we do. We're always cognizant of the fact of having any one particular paradigm reign. So it's one of the places that we think through the intersection of the sciences and the humanities, which is kind of the theme going on up here. That's a question we've long been concerned with thinking through. We kind of do some part of everything. I can't claim to do any one thing particularly well, which would be a pretty good reason to not include me on the raft, but certainly do something of everything. So there is a comprehensiveness, all sorts of stuff that goes on. And we have been, I think, for a long time, thinking through a fundamental question that we are facing today, which is this question of how we reconcile our political ambitions and our political ideals and our democratic ideals and economic logics. And those two things really come together in education. And I think in a lot of ways, those are the concerns that have really been sort of contemporary concerns. We have political systems frozen up in the U.S. We have political systems frozen up in Europe. We have economies unfolding very rapidly in China, other places, other developing economies. And all of these things have always been contested in education. And it's always been this question of how we reconcile the political, the economic, and it's always sort of concerned with this question of how we sort of think about reconciling civic systems and economic presses. And again, education is one place where this gets sorted out, discussed vis-a-vis future generations. So, short and sweet. Thank you.